I was recently listening to Mike Gallagher on the radio, and he was having airline pilots call in from American Airlines or others that would talk to him about the bankruptcy issues and why he thought the pilots union at American was being so hard-headed and goofy. When American airline pilots did call in, Mike treated them really bad. He showed no respect at all and constantly acted as though he knew more than they did. It was very sad. In the Old Testament of the Jews, often the prophet would cry because of what he saw coming down the road to the people of God. Destruction. Often the prophet would pull his beard out, or even their beard. Can't you see what's happening? Won't you wake up? The Lord brought me to the Metroplex Fort Worth, Dallas in 1982. I have been in ministry since 1984 under Reagan, George Bush Sr., Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., and now Barack Obama. And under all of these administrations, the Lord has given me dreams, hundreds, that I journal, index, and date, and tell in the church. Such as under George Bush Jr., the explosion of the space shuttle over Texas. And Hurricane Katrina. During Clinton's time in office, the assassination of Rabin. You see, I am a lover of the Lord Jesus. And I am a lover of Israel, the Jews, the Israelites. But I want to tell you a dream that ties to American Airlines. It ties to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The Metroplex that is on the verge of seeing its sorrow as New York City did. New York City represented the splendor, the money, the power. And Texas represents the money and the power, the Metroplex. Did you know that both shuttles blew up during the Fort Worth Stock Show? You say, what does that mean? The horse and the rider are cast into the sea, the enemies of Israel. in 1985. And the Lord said to the prophet Jeremiah, I am against those prophets who falsely tell dreams that are imaginations of their own minds. I am against those false prophets who tell lying dreams. But he didn't say he was against those who told true dreams, and the Bible's full of it. Young men will see visions, old men will dream dreams. Joel and the book of Acts. In 1985, I had a dream that rolled me out of bed under the Reagan administration. In the dream, I was taken in the spirit above an airplane. In this airplane, I was shown the top of it said American. At that time, I had only flown one time in my life. From Fort Smith, Arkansas to Orlando, Florida for the funeral of John Henry Davis, an All-American defensive end out of the University of Florida or Florida State. And I had just moved to the Metroplex. I'd been here a couple of years, and I'd never been out to the airport to see the planes. So when I'm taken up in the air over this plane in the dream, and I see American across the top, it's the first time that I see this. Then I am taken down and taken inside the airplane to the side. As I go into the airplane, I turn right, to my right. And I'm looking into a large body airplane that I find out later on, many years later, it's not even built at that time. And I see a bunch of dark skin. At that time, I think Spanish. Arab-looking men coming down the center aisle of the plane like an entourage for a fighter coming in or leaving the ring, the winner. All of these men have their fist raised, shouting in victory. And in the middle of the entourage is a dark-skinned man with sunglasses on. I'm sure that's to keep the light out. And I start to look at something hanging around his neck, and I'm aware that the Lord tells me, do not look at that. I'm taken outside of the plane, and down below it, at that time I see a white male with a military haircut, with government official looking clothes on, trench coat, get in a government automobile and drive away, and I know he is a traitor. Now in this dream, it's real. When I wake up, I roll out of bed. I know I have seen something that is real and high. I roll out of bed and pray. And from that time forth, I'm checking the newspapers. I'm listening to the radio in the Metroplex. I know that the Lord Jesus has put something on me that I cannot get off of my mind, that I have to find out about American Airlines. At that point in time, American is nobody in relation to other airlines. But it's at this time they begin to grow, and grow in a big way. To where in a few years they become the largest airline in the world. Overnight, almost. It seems like most of the people in the Metroplex work there. Let me tell you about the American Airlines Pilots Union. The way the enemy is working in the world right now is to confuse and deceive as many people as possible. The Bible said if it's possible, even the very elect would be deceived. If the American Airlines pilots, who Mike Gallagher has made out to be so evil, were to tell you what was really on their minds, they would be run out of town. But because of political correctness, they cannot tell you that the airline is being hostilely taken over by foreign interest. Number one, Arab interest. The pilots union helped build. They built that airline. Many of the people in management built that airline, gave their lives for 30 years. But way up above, that airline has been seized by Arabs. After 2001, the takeover of that airline went into full swing by hostile Arab Islamic Muslims. The Airline Pilots Association, American Airlines Pilots Union, they are fighting against the takeover of that airline that they worked and built by the money of radical Islam. And if they were to say that, they would be labeled politically correct. They would be labeled as Islamist phobist. Islamphobist. The American Airlines Pilots Union is standing between this country and tyranny, fighting against these forces that are trying to take over this country. Eric Stakelbeck has a book out right now about this, where he shows the street sign in America written in Arabic. 15 years ago, God showed that to me in a dream. The street signs were half Arabic. Texas, and especially the Metroplex, is high priorities for the Islamists because it represents the mighty power of the United States. The money, Texas does it bigger, and they are going to have no greater joy until they bring the same terror to Texas as they brought to New York. I want to commend the men in the pilots union that are fighting this fight against this hostile takeover by the Islamists. There is a traitor. Someone is opening a door, and they need that airline to bring this country to its knees. If you check maintenance, if you check upper management, you will find Islamists in many of the positions. Just as Hillary Clinton's #1 aide, a woman, is related to many Muslim Brotherhood. There's not long left until there's a Holocaust in America and Sharia law. Christians and Jews, it's time to cry out to God. Before it's too late for this country. It's time to pray for these men at the American Airlines Pilots Union and the union. They're protecting their workers from the United States against the hostile takeover of that airline by Arabs at the very, very top. Cry out to God and ask for mercy in this situation.